My name is Nick Amis, as Tamara kindly introduced me, and I live with my wife Tracy in Northamptonshire, and here we are. Anyway, today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about men's mental health. I'm not an absolute expert in terms of the stats I'm going to share with you, but these are some of the things that I have researched, and so let's get started. So it's probably no surprise to you that mental health also affects men as well as women, as well as children. A recent study shows that 77% of men suffer with common mental health symptoms such as anxiety, stress, or depression. I mean, that's an astounding statistic in its own right, isn't it? The problem is that men are less likely to ask for help. We're a stubborn bunch. You may have found that. 40% of men have never spoken to anyone about their struggles. 40% is a massive number. Never spoken to anyone. The biggest cause of men's mental health issues are work, finance, and their health. We like to perform. We like to be affirmed that we're doing a great job. So work is very important to us men. Yes. And we tend to get a bit stuck on that, speaking from experience. Now, in the serious stuff, men are 3 times more likely to commit suicide than women. In 2021, there were 5,219 suicides in the UK, of which 75% of those were men. That is an astounding number. I heard estimates that for every suicide, there is 100 people seriously affected by that person's act. 100 people. I had a friend many years ago that I didn't even know that well who took his own life. And I thought about that for a long time. But I think I thought about that for about a year afterwards. That I found was an absolute tragedy. But there's a much larger number of suicide survivors that is rarely reported about, people who try and don't succeed and continue to battle with their mental health and still need support. 68% of those receiving support for addiction are men. So almost 70% of people in addiction support are men. 87% of rough sleepers are men. And the reason they're there is mainly because of mental health issues. 96% of the prison population in the UK is men. 96%. The issue is that men are having a loneliness crisis. There's a lot of stats here. Making friends as a man, I speak from experience, as a 53-year-old man, is tough business. They do not want to socialise. It's hard work getting to get other guys together and actually just hang out and do something fun. I mean, what is wrong with us? I mean, who doesn't want to go and have some fun? I'm busy tonight. I've got quite a lot of the house to do. I've got some painting, decorating to do, and my wife's asked me if I can sort out all my clothes and stuff, and love to. Maybe next time. 1 in 4 men in the UK are in contact with friends less than once a month. That's easy, yeah, absolutely. 1 in 10 can't remember the last time they interacted with mates. 1 in 10 never, no friends. So it's not just, this is the thing, it's not just women who see men as a threat. Men see men, not as a source of support, but a threat. Not necessarily always to our physical, we might get in serious trouble, but actually a threat to my identity. Is this man going to intimidate me? Am I going to feel belittled by this man? Am I going to measure up to all the things that they've achieved compared to me? Will I feel inferior? So I'll just stay away. Keep it safe. So we have a strong tendency to keep things. You ladies, you have a great conversation. I love ladies' conversations, but men's conversations are hard work. We like the superficial. We like weather, yes. Sport, and cars.
Yes.
Maybe a bit of gym occasionally, but we like the safe subjects. We definitely don't want to talk about our feelings or our relationships or anything else. And we're a big, I don't know whether you watch Friends. We love Friends. We think it's hilarious. Those guys are great. They were always talking about their feelings and, they're hugging and all. Great, I'd love to have friends like that, but it's just not reality. It's not what we see in our everyday life. So why is it that men are struggling so much to lead happy, fulfilled lives? Well, there's one common denominator to all these statistics, and one factor that stands out head and shoulders above all of the statistics. It's not deprivation, it's not poverty, it's dad deprivation. It's a lack of dad. My story is quite unique. My dad died when I was 12 years old. He was killed in a road accident on his way to work, on the way to factory. I'd become a Christian the year before. God was amazingly gracious to me. I felt his presence and his comfort around me, and that was really the start of my journey of Christianity. Was God had given me a new family 1 year hence, to my father's death, and so I felt loved and cared for. But I lacked something, because what I found was actually Dad. He was a great man. He was a good man. Worked hard, but I rarely remember him being around. So he would work 6 days a week at the factory, long shifts, 12-hour days. I remember when we went on holiday together, and we'd have a nice time, but I don't really remember him being very present. And when he was at home, there was gardening and working in the shed and doing stuff, but I don't remember him actually being with us, playing with us. My sister and I would joke about this, and we're like, there wasn't actually a lot of things said in our house when we were youngsters. We didn't actually get hugs. There wasn't a lot of laughter and joy. I think we were guessing how Mum and Dad felt a lot of the time. And so we're like, well, actually, we didn't think we didn't get love and kisses. And that was true for Mum and Dad. I don't blame either of my parents. My dad actually didn't know his own dad. He died when he was 3. So he's brought up by his grandmother and by his mother alone until he was 10 years old. In fact, his dad didn't even know his dad either. So he died very young, 1 year old, was my granddad when his father died. And I'm not an expert, but we had a little thing called World War I and World War II, and it took out a massive number of men out of the population. And when they came back, they weren't necessarily the same men.
That's right.
And we are living in a legacy of those wars, right down to our generation today. So our house wasn't one of, I'm proud of you, and I love you, and I'm pleased, and I love you, and it wasn't like that. And this led to me really I needed to kind of earn love. I had to work hard, and I did. I worked hard at school, I excelled at school, but I was performance driven. And I wanted to prove I was worthy of other people's respect and love. Oh, they've done a fantastic job there. What on earth would we do without you? You're such a brilliant guy. The skills you've got and all the talents you have. That's what I wanted. But I wanted my mum to say that. I wanted my dad to say that. Well, after numerous, jobs of which I seem to have a talent of being redundant from or being let go, I went through one too many. I was on the ladder. I wanted to go to the top, and that was my aim to excel. And I went through the mill one too many times and ended up very ill. And so I actually quit my job because I couldn't do it anymore, and I never went back. So I stepped out of full-time employment, and I took a good few months off, trying to get well again. And this all was driven through me striving to do something I wasn't good at, do something that I shouldn't have been doing. I wasn't equipped to actually cope with the environment that I was working in, very stressful environment. But God had a plan, which is another story. So this lack in me created this strong, ambitious streak to drive me forward. And This situation, unfortunately, is one of epidemic proportions today. 42% of marriages end in divorce. By the age of 16, only half of children live with both parents. 90% of children in single-parent families live with their mum. So that's 90% of boys do not live with their dad. Half of fathers, that's 50% of those in single-parent families, have no regular contact with their children. So dad is not even able to access he's not present even in those children's lives. And these aren't new statistics, these are statistics going back a fair number of years now. So the boy, unfortunately, the most important person in their development, is simply not present in their life. Dad isn't there. And even when he is there, he's not necessarily there.
Yeah.
He's not actually being that nurturing father to provide that loving care that the boy needs. And yes, girls suffer as well, but they don't suffer as much in the absence of dad, because they have the most important person in their life, their mother. So both are needed, but boys suffer more. And they suffer significantly in their educational development and their development throughout life. They underachieve, and they underachieve badly. So what does it mean when a man's looking for a replacement? Where the heck do you find replacement dad? Well, it's impossible, isn't it? And we know there are many unhealthy choices we made in life to compensate for our lack of development. So striving to perform is one, or seeking to avoid responsibility is another, or to escape reality is a common pastime, and there's lots of ways to do that. We can drink, we can over-exercise, we can choose any number of things to escape our reality. We can binge watch 1,000 hours of Netflix, or whatever it might be, or play a computer game for a few decades, into adulthood. But fundamentally, what we're trying to do at Refuelled is we're trying to teach guys how to father themselves well. Yes, we know there's God, and God is the Father, but we're saying, first of all, you need to take responsibility for your own growth and development. You need to exercise regularly, you need to eat healthily, you need to set goals, and you need to find meaning in your life. But fundamentally, we're trying to show guys how to become the mature men they've always wanted to be. Because if you ask any man honestly, to be honest about it, are you the kind of man that you really want to be? Do you feel like a man? I think we'll find the answer most times is no, if we're honest. I'm like, I want to be that man. That's what I want to be. And to me, that's a Jesus man. Jesus is the best example of a man you'll ever look at in terms of his character and his integrity and his strength of character. So we talk about subjects that men don't usually talk about. We talk about the tough stuff, the kind of what do we do, what don't we do, why do we behave the way we behave, what are the unhealthy things we do, we think, the patterns of unhealthy practice. We talk about those, we talk about why it is that we do those things, and we lift the lid on things. So we talk about those, and we have a regular talk on a Tuesday night online, and it will just be one or two, so I might interview somebody or speak to another guy about a subject matter. Other guys can chip in, but mostly they're there to listen and just to be enlightened about why maybe they behave the way they do. Why are they struggling in certain ways in their life? We're talking from personal testimony. We're not lecturing. We're talking about our own personal challenges when we talk about these things. For those guys that want to do the work, then they can apply to join one of our Connect groups, which is a safe space to talk about where they are at. So how's your week been? How are you feeling right now? And good is not a feeling. So we made that point clear. Good is not a feeling. And what do you want to talk about? You have to take responsibility for what you want to talk about. No one's going to make you talk about something. It's for you to choose a subject. And then if you want advice, you have to ask for it. We're not here to give you a load of advice. First best question I say to the guys in the group is, what would you do? As in, what would the speaker do? What are you going to do about that situation? Often people know the answers to their own problems. You don't need any advice. They just need to do the thing that they've been putting off, and they need encouragement and support, and then maybe some guidance about how to do what they know they should do. and to see and be in the presence of other men who are having or taking the courage to do the difficult thing, to look inside the box and go, maybe that's me that's got that problem that I need to deal with, and I will do something about that. I'm not going to live like this anymore and see all my things that I want to achieve go by the by. I want to do it. So we have our Connect groups, and we also encourage guys to set themselves a stretch for the week ahead. So do something that takes you out of your comfort zone, something that is going to move you towards your goal. And a lot of the guys will go, I'm going to do 200 press-ups a day for the next week. So that's laudable. I mean, you're going to look good afterwards, but that's not the kind of stretch we really mean. Why don't you go and have that awkward conversation with your partner that you've been putting off for the last 6 months? Why don't you, tell somebody that you love them or appreciate them? Why don't you do something for the benefit of somebody else that is not what you want to do, but because you want to do something that's better, bigger? Set yourself a goal that stretches you out of your comfort zone. Create a new habit. Do something different. So we encourage guys to look at who they are, come to terms with their life events, to understand their story, and to see that they're of infinite worth. Their experience, once understood, is their purpose in life. It's not the attainment of skills and goals and other things and work and position. It's actually their experience in life, their story is their purpose. So the measure of our success isn't whether men are happier, which is a fantastic measure in its own right, but it's actually, do they understand their own value to their friends and family? And do they begin to naturally care for other people? Do they teach other men what it is to be a man? That's the measure of success.
Yes. Wow.
If you want to find out more, you can go to refuelled.org or come and have a chat with myself or Chris. Chris is one of our guys from our groups. He'd love to talk to you as well, share a bit of his story. I know he's dying to talk, not. Come and talk to us. If you want to get involved and you want to think, actually, I'd like to maybe join a group, or I'd love maybe to set up a group, then we'd love to talk to you.